Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk. Inside look at Brevard College athletics. We're here every Monday night at Dugan's Pub, 29 West French Broad Street in Brevard, North Carolina. We've got an exciting show on tap for you tonight. We'll talk a lot of men's soccer coming off a big weekend. We'll talk to head men's soccer coach El Dana. We'll talk to Matheus Masukawa along with Joao Monteiro. We'll talk some women's soccer with Brianna Link and Alyssa Hetherington. We'll check in with head football coach Bill Khayat. Also talk to Jock Pledgler and Big Lou Williams. And we'll also talk to a couple of the executive leadership of the SAAC Executive Board. That's the Student Athlete Advisory Council. That Student Athlete Advisory Committee led by Brittany Franks and Joshua Romero. We'll check in with them later in the show as well. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Jets Pizza, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium Pepsi, and the home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Some breaking news. Once again, it seems like we do this every week before the show. Another USA South Athlete of the Week award handed out to a Brevard College Tornado. This time going to Jock Pledgler of the Brevard College football team. He was named Defensive Rookie of the Week. Jock is going to be a guest later on the show, and he just had a kind of a breakout performance this past weekend. 2 interceptions, breakup of 3 passes, and he wins the USA South Football Defensive Rookie of the Week. There has been 9 Brevard College Tornadoes so far this season winning weekly USA South awards. To catch you up since we saw you last, the football team, a tough 21-10 loss to Huntington on Saturday. We'll catch up with head coach Bill Khayat and catch up entirely as far as what you may have missed if you weren't out there at Brevard Memorial Stadium this past Saturday. Football will be back in action 1 p.m. this Saturday at North Carolina Wesleyan in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Women's soccer, a 2-0 win at Berea. Alyssa Hetherington, who will be a guest on the show later, Ashley Royster, each with goals. Another shutout performance by goalkeeper Rebecca Rojas. A impressive 2-0 win by women's soccer. They will be in action tomorrow as part of a men's-women's doubleheader. Women's at 7 p.m., men's at 4 p.m. Volleyball traveled to Maryville, Tennessee over the weekend. A performance where they actually lost 2 matches to USA South Conference foes, losing to Berea and Maryville. They'll be back in action, back to the friendly confines of the Boshemer Gymnasium this Saturday, part of a quad match that the Tornadoes are hosting. All begins at 10 a.m. at the Bosch. Cross country continues to prepare for its USA South Conference Championships Saturday, November 2nd in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Men's and women's basketball both open practice this past week and are busy preparing for the start of their season. Mark your calendars for Monday, November 4th at the Boshemer Gymnasium for Tornado tip-off. And the mountain biking team, we talked about them a lot last week. They are back in town after a big performance at the USA Cycling Mountain Bike National Championships. They will be honored at Harvest Fest on the Brevard College campus this Thursday. The mountain bike celebration will take place at approximately 6 p.m. and we'll also have a special edition of Tornado Talk on Thursday to complement that event. So that brings us to men's soccer and a compelling and fruitful weekend for the men's soccer team, as we're joined now by Coach El Dana. Coach, thanks for joining the program again.
Thank you.
Well, I do want to catch folks up a little bit on what they may have missed this weekend, and let's start with the match on Saturday. Rainy conditions at Ives Lamel Family Field ultimately results in a 1-1 draw versus Averett. 110 minutes, sloppy conditions out there, rainy, cold, but the team seemed to endure. Had to come from behind to tie the match at 1 and ends up with a 1-1 draw versus Averett. Can you kind of recap from your perspective that Averett match?
Yeah, first of all, the quality of our pitch. That turf allows for good playing conditions no matter what the weather. So I'm very thankful for it because I watched some of the footage of other games in our conference and it wasn't so But it was a good match. It was back and forth. Quite frankly, apart from a beginning of 5 minutes that we didn't really quite were up to par. Most of the game we control, and it is what it is. Sometimes in soccer, it's not necessarily what you deserve, but what you can get. If you ask me if we should have won, I think we should have, but that's the way it goes.
Eric Lenhart scored on a free kick from one of our guests later, Joao Monteiro. Monteiro has found Lenhart 3 times on very similar plays, and Lenhart has finished off. Lenhart's a defender who, moves up on those set pieces, is very effective in the air. How important is that, kind of speaking generally, to have defenders who can move up and have a presence in goal scoring?
Yeah, I mean, you have different categories. You have those that can finish in the air, like Eric. Although Eric is a good shooter too, he can finish as far as free kicks and even approaching from back and finishing a rebound. But you also have the fullbacks. They're technically defenders. The Alexes and the Marquises and the guys that play outside. And those are the ones that serve a lot of balls. And so these guys are pretty important for us because they got to defend, but they also contribute with the offense.
Very good. And so Lenhart scores in the 75th minute to tie up that match. The match remains tied, a draw, the 3rd draw of the season for the Tornadoes this season. And you got to shake off that result pretty quickly because in less than 24 hours on Sunday, the Tornadoes back in action versus Mary Baldwin. What was your message to the team after the long 110 minutes, after the rain, the cold, and all those kind of things, as far as them getting prepared for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we're all in the same boat. Everybody's playing 2 games, so technically, and we're at home. We know how hard the road is when you're not sleeping in your bed. You're not, accustomed to the conditions. But at the end of the day, it's like this. It's like you're running a race, and you're really running out of gas, and you look on the side, and that guy looks like he's not, but he is. So that's how it is. You don't let your mind play mental games with you. Everybody's tired, and at the end of the day, I think when that's the case, technique prevails, and these guys should feel comfortable and confident because I think they're very technically sound.
Now, the match against Mary Baldwin, first of all, just to tell folks who might not have been here in the Brevard area, the weather was completely different than what was experienced Saturday. It was a sunny day, temperatures in the 70s, just really beautiful weather out there, and then Mary Baldwin gets on the board early, and they seemed throughout the match to use kind of a real quick counterattack. That was often the extent of their offense, was this quick counterattack, and it kind of felt like it burnt the Tornadoes early on. Mary Baldwin goes ahead 1-0, and the Tornadoes need to battle back from behind. Ends up a back-and-forth affair. Vinny Giannichini ends up with 2 goals. Lucas Campos with the game winner ultimately. Had to be proud of how the team kind of battled back and was able to endure the twists and turns of yesterday's match.
Yeah, and each team has a different look. We came from a day before that was very foreign and lots of Swedish and Scandinavian players into a day that is big and 6'4" kids flicking the ball and putting runners to run, so you have to adjust to different kinds of looks. But both teams, both games involve teams that still are scrambling to make into the tournament, because when you talk about the USA South, we're not eligible for postseason yet. This is the last year, but we would be in the tournament because we're number 3 in the East. So these teams are coming in trying to jump ahead of us. And so it was a big game for both of them. So they threw the kitchen and the sink in the kitchen, like they say, and we had a battle, and we are also kind of trying to qualify to postseason. I know we're going to talk about it, but so these were very, very important matches and big results for us.
Yeah, and really sensational how it happened, because Mary Baldwin tied this match up 2-2 in the final few minutes of the match, and then very, very quickly the Tornadoes able to respond and regain the lead 3-2. How important is that as far as like that quick response after a team ties or scores on you?
Well, not only because you just said you don't have to dwell on that it's a bad feeling when you get scored on, but more importantly, I don't even know. I think this is the number 7 game that we go overtime, and that's excruciating. You know, knowing that actually in looking ahead in 48 hours we had to play another game, so having that goal come right back, it was a big lift because we show that we can do well in overtime, but enough is enough.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, another match coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, 4 p.m. versus Covenant, part of a doubleheader with the women's team. And the result, this Covenant match, if folks remember, this was supposed to be the home opener way long ago. Several weeks ago, it was declared a no contest due to lightning and rescheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday, the 22nd, 4 p.m. versus Covenant. What are going to be the keys as far as the team tomorrow versus Covenant?
Yeah, it was funny because I was looking at the weather at first, saying it was going to rain again. I'm like, not again. When we do the team prayer, we say that God shows. What do we say? God shows up when it rains and shows off when it's Sunday. So we want Him to show off tomorrow, but it looks like it's going to clear in the afternoon. But bottom line is we're going to be playing the number 1 team in the conference. They're undefeated in the conference. When we played part of that game, we showed that we can hang with them. You know, I thought we were the better team for the period of time that we played. But you'll be tough. You'll be tough. You know, and this is a team that, on the scheme of things, is a little more loose because they know they're already locked in. They already won the regular season. So sometimes that works for or against you, but it should be a very good game to watch.
And then 2 more matches this weekend. Saturday at 2 p.m. at Ives Lamel Family Field. Want to invite folks out to that one. A match against Berea. That's Senior Day. Would like to talk Senior Day with you in a moment here. And also Sunday, 1 p.m. versus Huntington. Before we get into Senior Day, you mentioned the ECAC postseason tournament. Because of Brevard's current transition into NCAA Division III and also, you know, entry into the USA South Conference, Brevard is also a member of the ECAC, which allows these student athletes from several sports the opportunity to go to postseason, but there's certain requirements to make it to the ECAC.
Right, so we declare an affiliation with them as well to give us an opportunity to go postseason, which gives us the hunger to compete for something. The requirement is that we have to finish with a winning record. So we're right there on the hunt. We're straight out 500 right now with 4 games to go. 4 good games, tough games, but we feel that we got a good opportunity to come up on top. Our women's soccer team qualified last year.
Yep.
Ended up going to Philadelphia, and we hope to do the same.
Well, certainly every match is critical at this point. Beginning Tuesday, 4 p.m. versus Covenant, Saturday, 2 p.m. versus Berea, and 1 p.m. on Sunday versus Huntington. Now, the 2 p.m. match on Saturday, the 26th, versus Berea is also Senior Day, and there's a tremendous senior class this year who we will be honoring during a halftime celebration at that match. Want to invite folks to come. Patrick Hall, Alex Tenhai, Eric Lenhart, Marquise Dickerson, Matt Brethen, Jackson Riddle, Avi Maui Juena, Matheus Masukawa, and then 3 reserves players, Javier Avalos, Justin Queen, and Samuel Willis. Coach, I know you're new to Brevard College in this group of student athletes. This is your first season coaching them. However, I'm sure you understand how valuable this senior class is.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I've already expressed to them I wish they could stay. I mean, it doesn't take long to realize these are leaders. I mean, they're great players. These are all, if not starters, they're on the field time and over. But they're good people, you know, and they have heart. And these are people that they brought the program to this point, you know, and they're excited about what's going to happen and what it looks like we're going to head to. But they ought to feel proud of what they brought to the table and the contributions that they've given to this program.
Very good. Well, Tornado fans, hope to see you out there tomorrow, Tuesday, 4 p.m. versus Covenant. And if you can't make it Tuesday, or if you want even more, be sure to come on out on Saturday, honor that senior class, and also Sunday, the Tornadoes in action versus Huntington. Critical stretch for your team, Coach L. Thanks for coming on the program and telling folks a little more what's going on with men's soccer, and looking forward to talking to a couple of your student athletes now.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was Coach L. Dana as we recap this past weekend of, Tornadoes men's soccer. And they will be right back in action tomorrow versus Covenant. Looking forward to talking to these two. No strangers to the microphone here. All right, joined now by Joao Monteiro and Matheus Masukawa. Gentlemen, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you on, especially after a exciting win yesterday against Mary Baldwin. Before we get into that, let's go back 2 days. And I did this with Coach as well because I want to kind of tell folks what happened here on Saturday. Rainy, cold. The Averett team takes a 1-0 lead, and then we're able to tie the match at 1-1 on a Lenhart header, and then it goes all the way 110 minutes, a draw. What are you guys' overall thoughts as far as that Saturday game and how all that went?
Well, I believe that it was a tough game, but as Coach was saying, our turf is very good and it could handle the weather. And it is very hard to play 2 games in a weekend, and it's impossible to not think on the next day how our legs will be and how tired we are on playing on our overtime match. But we did what we had to do. We played the entire match. We fought until the last minute. We couldn't get a win that we should have get, but it was a battle for us. Even that rain, it was very tough.
Yeah, I think it was one of the coldest games that I've played here, and it was like really, really tough game. Avery was a pretty good team, and I would like the wet turf to made it more harder than we're used to. And whenever they score, it made it harder, but we got the goal, and I mean I think we had control of the game in the most of the part, and we could have won, but it's just like
Matheus, I'd like to stick with you because I know how you guys get. You don't like talking about yourselves so much, so I'm going to let you talk about this guy. Joao on Saturday had another one of these beautiful free kicks, these balls that just are perfectly placed, and Eric Lenhart headed it and found the back of the net. The third time those two have connected on the same kind of play every time, it seems like. I mean, just this beautiful ball, and then Eric puts it away. Eric had never scored a goal in his collegiate career until this season, and I talked to Eric, off the air, and he said, well, it's because this guy's serving up these amazing passes. Can you talk about how special that foot of this guy is?
So yeah, Joao is really good to have him in the field with us because we're confident on passing to him, and we know whenever we can get it back, with quality, and his serves to the box are literally the best in the team. So that's why we have him taking all of it, and he's a really important player. Everybody's a really important player for the team.
Okay, well, I'll let you return the favor because Matheus leads the team with 4 goals scored this season. So he knows how to find the back of the net.
Definitely.
Can you talk about his strengths and how he's able to do that?
Sure. Well, I believe a senior that knows how the game is here, much different than in our country. But he does what other people doesn't do. He finds the back of the net being a midfielder, something that is special. And he get quality on every play. He get defensive skills that different from everyone else. He got attacking skills. He's a complete player, and I think he has been helping us this year with goals, assists, and definitely effort. 100% put in 100% effort in every match.
Yeah, Matheus leads the team with 4 goals, second on the team with 3 assists. Joao leading the team with 4 assists, and as we mentioned, 3 of those to Eric Lenhart. Now, Sunday, completely different weather, a beautiful day out there, and within 5 minutes or so, suddenly you guys are behind a goal. Mary Baldwin had this kind of quick strike and went up 1-0. You guys dug deep, came from behind, retook the lead. They tie it up. You take the lead again. Can you guys review what happened Sunday?
You want to start?
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, we made a mistake in the beginning of the game, but we stick with it, and like we got control of the game after that. So we had more opportunities, and we could find Vinicius after, and we scored another one with Vinicius again with a beautiful cross of Adam, and it was crazy. It was a crazy game. After they scored, we thought like, oh no, one more overtime, like more after the Saturday game. Then we found the third goal with like 4 minutes left, and it was just like so good because I think everybody was tired and nobody wanted to go to overtime again.
Yeah, that quick answer at the end there to retake the lead was huge. And Matheus, you were part of that buildup. I don't know if you remember. You gained control of the ball. You were able to, find Alex Tenhai. Tenhai serves it in. Campos puts it away. 3-2 Tornadoes. And then you have to hold them off those last few minutes, right?
Yes. So it was a pretty quick response. We got scored, we got tied, and our minds were all focused on another overtime. Another 110 minutes, another fight, but we were prepared for that. We are always prepared I don't know if for luck, but we never lose on overtime. That's what we always say when we go to overtime. We never lose on overtime, and we were definitely prepared if we needed to, but we were focused on attacking. We were forgetting about how tired we were, and we were happy to get the goal, to get the 3-2. And it was just a battle as every game. It was more goals than usual, but normal for us. Happiness, celebrating everything as it usually does.
Yeah, the reaction from the bench was just awesome, you know, with that, especially that last goal. So congratulations on that win. Now back to business tomorrow, 4 p.m. versus Covenant. Now, if you remember back, that first time, Brevard played Covenant, lightning delay after lightning delay, and then the game postponed. Do you remember a little bit of that match, how it kind of went that first half, and what you're going to be up against tomorrow?
Yeah, well, we have recently studied the match we played against them. We are studying them, and I believe we're not scared of them. I believe we don't see them as something possible to beat, and we showed on that match that we could beat them, definitely. And it will be a very important match for us that will define our year, our conference ranking. But we are focused, we are confident, and we want to get the win. Doesn't matter who we're playing, we are always focused, and we think we will win.
Now, Matheus, I know you're probably more concerned about tomorrow's game, but I do want to look ahead a little bit to Saturday because you're going to be part of a very large senior class that's going to be honored on Saturday. I know you're focused on this one game at a time thing and all that, but have you thought a little bit just how special it is, now that you're a senior and with that group and what it's going to be like, to wrap up, your career at the home field here?
I know, it's crazy because it's kind of sad also because I don't want to stop playing. I love playing here and everything, my teammates. But I mean, I'm looking forward for the end of the season too. So we can also go to ECAC. Looking forward to ECAC too. And I'm just focused in the next game. I honestly don't look forward to the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up afterwards as far as what it all means. But you mentioned ECAC. Some people call it ECAC, some people call it ECAC. But that tournament, that postseason tournament, you all are fighting towards. I would like to also ask you guys this because you're both from Brazil. You're from Sao Paulo. You're from just outside Sao Paulo, correct? Yeah.
Exactly.
So you guys are both from the same part of the world. But you're not alone. There's several Brazilians on the team, as well as players from other countries, you know, throughout South America and even Europe. What's it like, you know, to go to school at Brevard College and being on part of this men's soccer program, but, you know, your home country being someplace completely different, being that you're from Brazil?
Yeah, so I believe it's good for our team, this exchange of cultures. And diversity is always good. It's something that gets value here for soccer, mainly because we got like different types of players, not only the style that we find here in the United States. Different skills and different mindsets that help us, but sometimes can even be a bad thing. But it if we have a good coach that can head on all of this different cultures and different mindsets, we move on and get good results.
Well, you all have been doing a great job. Really noticed the team kind of coming together, you know, these last couple weeks, and really excited to see what happens this week. We're finally in this stretch of a bunch of home games in a row after y'all were on the road, seemed like nonstop. I'll leave it with this. I know you might have some friends and family tuning in from wherever they might be tuning in from. The nice thing about these internet broadcasts, they could be watching from anywhere in the world. Is there someone you'd like to say hello to or give a shout out to back home?
You have someone?
Yeah, I would like to thank my parents, of course, that without them I wouldn't be here. My teammates, my friends here, the coaches, everybody. We'd like to thank everybody.
Well, I have my parents. They're watching me probably, and my girlfriend too. So I miss her. I miss them, but it's fine to be here. You know, we're happy here.
Very good. Well, guys, we'll see you out there at Islamel Family Field beginning tomorrow, 4 p.m. versus Covenant. Can't wait to see you guys back in action.
Yeah.
You guys have put on a great show, and hope fans can come on out and check y'all out. Great job on the show tonight. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
Joao Monteiro and Matheus Masukawa, two of those men's soccer players coming off a dramatic 3-2 win over Mary Baldwin Sunday, and Saturday a 1-1 draw versus Averett. And Tornadoes men's soccer Tuesday 4 p.m. versus Covenant, Saturday 2 p.m. versus Berea, which is also senior day, and then Sunday 1 p.m. versus Huntington. And we will stay on the pitch for these next two guests as they get settled here at Dugan's Pub. Great to be joined now by two women's soccer student athletes, Brianna Link and Alyssa Hetherington. Thanks for joining the show, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm excited to get to know you all a little better and let our audience get to know you a little better. But before we get into that, do want to catch folks up on this past game this weekend. You know, folks might not have had the chance to get over there to Kentucky or even see it on the live stream, but Tornadoes with a 2-0 win over Berea. Alyssa, goal in the 9th minute.
Yep.
Ashley Royster, a goal in the 76th minute. Nice little insurance goal there to you know, take the Tornadoes to that 2-0 result. And then another shutout for the Tornado defense and goalkeeper Rebecca Rojas. Can each of you speak on this past Saturday and how you felt out there?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I thought that we worked really hard out there together as a team, and we can see a lot of the pieces coming together. And I felt that there was just a lot more connection from defense all the way to forward.
Yeah. It's sort of like a puzzle coming together back to Bree, and by the end of the season, I think we're going to be there, like finally. But the game was there.
Yeah.
Now, you all have been in, like every team, but you've been on the road quite a bit this season.
Yeah.
And, you know, each of you are, you know, we've got a freshman and a sophomore here,
Yep.
correct? And so you're still fairly new to, you know, college soccer and that kind of thing. And these road trips are part of it. How's it been on the road? And, you know, has it gotten easier the more you've done it? Or is there, like, more wear and tear and you're like, oh, no, not again?
Not again. The worst thing about the road trips is when we come back usually. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's not fun. but I think there's a lot of
Team bonding,
yeah,
for sure, which
And
has gotten us
movies.
together. Yeah,
movies, team bonding.
yeah.
It's
And
just
late
crazy.
night drives.
Oh my gosh, it's not fun. I would not recommend it.
No.
For you.
Okay, well, I am glad you're both safe and secure here in Brevard, North Carolina at the moment. And tomorrow, Brevard will host Maryville at 7 p.m. at Ives Lamel Family Field.
Yes.
Big game, under the lights. Have the coaches prepped you at all as far as what to expect tomorrow and what you all have to do to get that W?
Yeah, we had a practice just before this and kind of just talked about our game plan together and just making sure we're going to be organized as a team and
We
come ready
gotta-
to play.
Yeah, we gotta get prepared.
Yeah,
They're a good opponent.
yeah,
but
it'll be a great game.
if we play our A game, we'll be good.
Well, we talked about the road and the challenges of the road, but let's talk about the benefits of playing at home, especially under the lights, because there seems to be a bit of a, no pun intended, electricity out there when the lights are on, and you can kind of, really feel the energy out there. But, everybody likes to play at home more, but can you talk specifically for the Tornadoes, how there is a home field advantage?
We have a lot of fans that are always coming out supporting us. We got the men's soccer who's
Oh yeah.
there at our games while we're there at theirs and just cheering us on. And they're
They-
yeah, go ahead.
They come out with the best chants and
Yeah.
like different things. Oh,
Bunch of
I-
energy.
it's definitely another part of the game you have to watch
Yeah.
because they're almost like another teammate cheering you on.
Right. It's like a 12th man
Yeah.
type
Yes.
of
Mhm.
situation.
Sure.
Well, tomorrow fans will have a chance to see both the men's and women's soccer teams. Men, 4 p.m. versus Covenant. The women at 7 p.m. versus Maryville. And then Friday, the Tornadoes will host Bob Jones. And Friday's match takes on some extra significance because it's also senior night.
Yeah,
Oh, it's sad.
it's crazy.
Erica Zuffrey and Audrey Cardwell will be honored. I believe they're the two seniors on
Yeah.
this year's squad. Can you talk about the two of them and, how important they've been as far as, leaders for you all?
They've definitely made an impact on me being a freshman. It was really hard coming out from California, and just they've been there supporting me and helping me and guiding me. Erica's been a big help, helping me in the center back position, and then Audrey just giving me some guidance and comfort there.
Well, both girls have been a huge part of my soccer career, and even on and off the field. Like we both have the same studies, and then I don't know. I can't speak. They're just
Two
they
amazing
bring
girls.
our team together.
Yeah.
Like they keep us in check, but it's
Mhm.
also it's tough love.
Yeah.
It's tough love.
Yeah, and you mentioned studies, and to have, seniors who are
I meant
excellent student athletes. Audrey's also the president of the
Oh my
Student
God,
Government
yeah.
Association. So you've got folks who really know their way around campus and can help, young players, not just with the soccer piece, but also, hey, here's how you manage as a student, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They're going to be really. It's going to be hard to lose them.
Yeah.
Now, Alyssa, you've scored goals in each of the last two games. A goal versus Wesleyan, a 2-1 win, and a goal and assist, in Kentucky versus Berea in the 2-0 win. Both wins for the Tornadoes. Can you talk folks through a little bit on those goals if they didn't see the highlight film on those?
So the Wesleyan one was a volley, a left-footed volley, because my right leg's out of play right now. I would say he's a problem child, but a good volley from a good cross from Abby. I just finished it in the right side of the net, and then the what game? Berea game. I just tapped it over. Another assist from Abby. She headed it to me, and I just bonked it over, back of the corner, left foot.
And now, Brianna, you scored your first career goal back on September 14th at Southern Virginia, but the one I want you to go back in your memory banks to is your first collegiate goal in a win for the Tornadoes, which was in Charlotte at Johnson and Wales. I remember talking to some of your teammates on their way to that trip, and they were like, we're going to win tonight no matter what. I mean, there was like a sense of like urgency, like a business-like approach, and you got the game winner in that 1-0 win. Do you remember that goal?
I won't forget it. I just remember looking at the time, and it was 3:24 left in the game, and I'm like, okay, we got to score. Like, this is it. And Chloe just came a ball over the top, and I just put my head down and I ran, and we've been practicing before, and I just remember the corner, the right corner, and I saw it, and I just slipped the ball in, and I knew it was in right away, and it was exciting. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the celebration.
Oh my gosh, we all just came on screaming.
Yeah.
There was lots of crying too.
I did cry. I fell and cried. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you dream of those moments to get that game-winning goal in the last minute, so it was crazy.
And now that's the kind of bus ride you enjoy
Oh, yeah.
taking
Oh
back
my gosh,
to,
sure.
to Brevard,
Yeah.
correct? Now, do want to let folks know a little bit more about you and your backgrounds. Brianna, you're from Murrieta, California, about halfway in between Los Angeles and San Diego.
Yep.
And also the same hometown as goalkeeper Rebecca Rojas.
Yes, we actually played high school together and club. So.
Yeah, so that was my first question. Is there
Yeah.
some sort of pipeline going here? And do you already have your eye on maybe some future tornadoes who could make this
Yeah,
same trip
kind of
from
recruit
Murrieta?
some girls up, yeah. I didn't plan on coming here. Never knew about Brevard until Rebecca came, and the coaches recruited me, and I was like interested, and I fell in love right away when I came to visit, and just followed her, I guess.
Yeah, very cool. Glad you made it. And Alyssa, we kidded about this before the show. While Brianna's from Murrieta, California, Alyssa's from Marietta, Georgia. You just change one letter, and there you go. Did you know much about Brevard College before you started, the recruiting process to come here?
I did. My grandma actually lives in Brevard, but I never thought I was going to play soccer in college until one of my teammates, Brenna Ennis, I played club with her, and she kind of recruited me in. I just was like, you know what, I'll play college soccer. Why not? Sounds fun.
Excellent. Well, likewise, thrilled that you found your way here, and great to hear that there was that connection as well. You mentioned studies. Can I ask you, each of you, what are you majoring in, or have you found a major yet?
I'm planning on majoring in elementary education.
Excellent.
Biology, most likely, yeah.
Very good. And before I let you go, I like, especially for first-time guests, to have this opportunity. Is there anyone at home who might be tuning in, and if they're not watching live, might be tuning in, to the replay, that you'd like to give a shout-out to?
I guess I'll shout out my parents and my grandma and grandpa.
I know I talked to my parents about this last night, so I know my mom and dad are here. So hi, Mom and Dad, and Kayla.
Very good. Well, I think you took care of all the kind of the most important
Yeah,
folks.
there you go.
Excellent. Well, hey, we're thrilled to get to see you guys a couple more times this season at Ives Lamel Family Field. It all starts tomorrow, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. under the lights versus Maryville. Can't wait to see you all and your teammates in action. And thanks again for joining Tornado Talk. Great job, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Brianna Link and Alyssa Hetherington, two of those women's soccer student athletes. Great to catch up with them, and a big match tomorrow versus Maryville. Hope you can make it out to that one, as well as Senior Day on Friday night. Brevard College women's soccer. As we'll transition from football to American football with head coach Bill Khayat. Coach, thanks for joining the program.
Appreciate you having me, Phil.
Well, Coach, not the result the Tornadoes were looking for this past Saturday, a 21-10 defeat to Huntington. For folks who might not have been there at Brevard Memorial Stadium or been able to tune in and watch that game, can you kind of big picture from your perspective what happened?
Despite the final result not being what we had planned, I could not be more proud of the performance of these players. We went toe-to-toe with a heavyweight champion, and we did not get knocked out. That had to go to the judges in the decision, and the decision and the judges were the scoreboard in that 21-10 defeat. And, these players knew, from the beginning of the year what they wanted to achieve. Because I asked them, I said, what is your ultimate goal for the year? They said they wanted to win the conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's a very lofty goal from, where we were last year. But if that's what you want to do, I'm going to give you the blueprint to get you there. And they knew when it came to this game that they had to win. So it was a must-win for them in order to get that done. And they did not back down. They weren't nervous, afraid, scared, worried, concerned. They came out there swinging, and we went toe-to-toe with them. And, within the phases of the game, there were a lot of exciting things that took place. If you look at the result from last year against Huntington, they beat us by 35 points. 35.
Yep.
And this year it was truly about 4 points. You know, at the very end, that final touchdown, that was just out of desperation for us to try to get the ball back. And it's not something typically that we would do on defense, and that's why we ended up with that final touchdown. But really, that was a 4-point game for a lot of that game. We were either tied early, then went down 7, then cut it to 4, and then it was hanging there at 4 for about a quarter and a half. So very, very impressed with what these young men did against Huntington.
And we've been talking about them all season, but this defensive effort, 3 interceptions, including 1 pick 6 by Jaquan George, Jock Pledgler, who we're going to have on the show later, just with this breakout performance, and this despite the team being shorthanded in many ways in terms of some injuries to key pieces on that defense.
All right, so we've always talked about the strength of our defense being the secondary, and that's because of their age and the amount of experience that they have. All of a sudden, Quentin Jackson and Andreas Wyatt are out. All right, well, Huntington and the offensive staff know that. So why wouldn't the game plan be to go after the youngsters that are now in there, and Jacques Pledger and Rook Tate? So, but they answered the call, and in a big way. So you can think about this. Think about somebody that has been working a craft since August, trying to get better every day at it. Certainly by now they should have some things down and be able to work within their craft and do a pretty good job. Jacques Pledger, was a running back until this week.
Wow.
And the week leading in, we were short. We're looking for some guys with some experience, and he raised his hand and said, I'm in. And
so, Coach, just to clarify that and to go with the backstory a little more, did he have any experience in even high school playing some DB? Yeah.
He's over there with a big smile on his face, and he'll be able to fill you in on and all.
So he raised his hand. He said, hey, I can do it.
And here's what I can tell you about him. So from the very first day that we were together and could meet as coaching staff with the players, we're just going through some walkthroughs where the older players are going in there, just substituting and, just general football. And I kept looking over at Jacques, and he would never get in there. And I'm thinking, okay, is he timid? Is he just nervous? He doesn't want to go in there. So I was watching him, and I actually walked over to him, and he'll remember this. And I walked over to him. I said, well, why aren't you getting in there? And he said, well, I'm just watching, Coach. I want to learn. And when he said, I want to learn, I said, wow, okay. And sure enough, and that's what he was doing. So he's the kind of player that is very football savvy. Okay, we call it having a high football IQ, meaning understanding spacing, timing, just field awareness, just general football knowledge. And those are the things that you really can't coach. You get that just naturally, and then some of it comes from experience. But it's certainly not anything that can be coached. So when he's going over to defense, he just applies those same principles over there, and I'm sure he can give you some more details on what he's drawn on from the past. And then, of course, all of the work that Coach Jakes and his staff did with him during the week to prepare him. But that effort from him alone, I mean, even though the defense did so many outstanding things, I mean, you can read the list of guys with tackles. I mean, we had some great numbers put up. But it was reminiscent of Dalton Cole's individual effort against Christopher Newport. So when you think about Huntington with that quarterback and the potent offense they have, and arguably the best player in the conference in Otis Porter.
Correct.
And we're going with a guy that's played corner for 4 days, ends up with 2, should have had 3. I won't call him out for the one that went right in his hands. But anyway, he really had just a truly remarkable game, especially considering the short amount of time that he was playing corner.
The Brevard interception total is now at 13. That's 5 more INTs than any other team in the USA South Conference. It also ranks 4th in the nation in NCAA Division III. There's 251 NCAA Division III teams. Brevard is 4th in this category. I know we've talked about it before, but to kind of raise that bar, with these injuries and so forth in this last game versus Huntington, but just sensational what defense coordinator Luke Jakes and his unit's doing.
And that's why it was so important to me to have a coaching staff filled with coaches that played the position that they coach. So Coach Jakes, who's now the defensive coordinator, so that means he played defense, so there's your start. But he also coaches the corners, the position in which he played.
Sure.
So you need to think about all of the various techniques, different fundamentals that he learned during his time. So even if those techniques may not have worked for him, he knows they could work for another corner. And he has been able to teach our corners all of those techniques and find the ones that work best for them. And there's a lot of things that Coach Jakes does to really almost bait a quarterback into thinking something's there that's truly not. Now, that's when it's wide open for the quarterback to throw, where there's nobody around him and he can throw. But don't forget, we do have some great pass rushers, some good blitz packages or pressure packages where we're forcing the quarterback to throw. So now he's making an ill-advised throw and getting some interceptions. And then we have some interceptions that are just very smart plays by our defensive backfield. And some of those interceptions are linebackers, just knowing exactly where to be and when to be there, having a instinct and knowing. So there's various ways to get interceptions. It's not just a scheme and you just line a guy up in a certain spot. I mean, there's so many different ways to go about getting them. And, I just think it's outstanding that we've been able to do that.
Now, Tornadoes have to go on the road 2 straight weeks, beginning with this weekend at North Carolina Wesleyan in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, a 1 p.m. Kickoff on Saturday. Mentality of the team, coming off 2 straight losses, but now time to, have some opportunity against USA South foes, but on the road.
So, the first thing with going on the road, I mean, you get cut a day short because of the length of travel. So the way we work our practice schedule, just a little different in that we have to pack some more things in. As far as the mentality of the team, they can do the math on how many games are left. They can also do the math on adding wins to our current win total. And they can also do the math on being eligible for a bowl and winning that game. So if all of those end up with a W, meaning a win, that's 8-2. That is the most outstanding season that this program has ever had.
Yeah, and as we talked about, coming from where we've been.
Right, so talk about something to play for. To be halfway through the season and we're above 500, I just think that's tremendous. So now when we look at this opponent, all right, NC Wesleyan is the kind of team that is always above average. Okay, so they always hover above average. Then it's just a matter of, hey, they got some seniors this year. Now they're up. And, okay, now the senior class has graduated. Now they just flowed down a little bit. But they're always well organized, very well coached. They're where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. So very technically sound. And this year they happen to be up because they have a large number of seniors again. So, again, same deal. More seniors on their offensive line than we have on our entire team. When we look at Wesleyan from last year, all right, that was our only loss at home was to Wesleyan. So we went 4-1 at home last year. We lost to them on the 1-yard line.
Yep, I remember.
And if you look at it statistically, you would have thought we blew them out. 425 yards of total offense. Dalton Cole threw for 325. We held them to about 200 yards of total offense. 26 first downs of their 13. Time of possession, we're up 15 minutes. All of that looks so great. The one thing that we didn't have was the turnovers. We had 3 fumbles, and those 3 fumbles were what cost us the game. So, obviously we're looking to avenge that loss from last year, and I was really proud of the way our team was this year, even again against Huntington. I was in the rain. It was cold. It was sloppy, wet, and we did not allow the conditions to beat us. And I always tell the players that, don't let the conditions beat us. And the only loose ball that we had, the fumble, it could have been a bright, beautiful, sunny day. It was just the hit, and the non-ball security that caused that one to go. But we were able to create turnovers and do all of that. So if we can keep the turnovers in our favor, I feel that we have a pretty good shot this weekend.
And back to normal in terms of the practice schedule, I would imagine, and also, what the routine of the student athletes are, because classes are back in session. Last week was unique because it was fall break, but now, back to class and those kind of things.
Right, and I think that when guys are in a routine, it makes it a lot easier for them. They know where they're going. They know what's ahead of them. And even if we lay a schedule out for them, it's still different. They're just rhythms off about when they're waking up and when they're going to go lift weights, when they're going to eat, where they're going to eat. So, and with the certain things that were going on campus during the week, we did have to do a lot of jockeying just to find meeting space, to accommodate enough people in there. And so, to be back in sort of a groove, which was what got us going in the first place, I think will, prove to be good for us.
Now, Coach, we talked about Jock Pledger, who's going to be a guest on the program in just a few minutes, but also we're going to have Lewis Williams III, number 99, known as Big Lou Williams, sophomore from Concord, North Carolina. Can you tell folks something about Lewis Williams that they may not know?
All right. Well, I can assume that everyone can figure out why we call him Big Lou, because he is a massive man, and he cannot be isolated on one offensive lineman, because if he is, he will punish that man. So he'll always be having two people blocking him. And even with that, it is a struggle for some of these offensive line that we talked about. If you looked at Huntington's offensive line, you would think they were a very good Division II program. That's the size of those guys. And I've seen some plays this year. He just takes one hand and just drives people 4, 5, 6 yards in the backfield. So when you're talking about these interceptions, the interceptions can come from Big Lou driving the pocket back. Okay, so the depth of the pocket is now reduced because there's now an offensive lineman in the face of the quarterback who now can't follow through when he goes to throw. So he's falling back, short arming, and now the ball's not going where it needs to go.
50-50 ball suddenly.
Exactly. And then try to run when you're supposed to go right in this gap, and that gap now just moved right in your face. Now you have to go sideways. You go sideways, we all run to the ball, pursuit. So we pursue to the ball, make the tackle. So the term to use for Big Lou is disruptive. So with the penetration that he gets across the line of scrimmage, it disrupts the play, whether that's the team pass protecting, so the quarterback can throw, or they're trying to run, whether they're going sideways or downhill. He's in the backfield. All right, well, now you're going to assign one player to him. Okay, well, now we're two. Well, if you put 2 on 1, that leaves somebody else now. So it frees up other people to make plays. So a lot of times his statistics don't show up as a tackle for loss or a hurry, or he has nothing to do with the interception, when really he does have everything to do with those. So if you have a linebacker making 11 tackles, linebacker's making 11 tackles because Big Lou's in the backfield. So those are things that, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, a lot of times the guys get overlooked because they don't really have statistics. But for those that understand football and coach it, I'm just so thrilled to have a player like Lou Williams on my defensive line.
Coach, before I let you go, we're going to have one more football guest later on the show as well. And this is another member of your Champions Club.
Right.
We had 2 of the 3 on earlier this season. Joshua Romero, who's also a vice president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. He's coming on in that role tonight to talk a little bit of SAAC and community service and those kind of things. Can you tell us even more about Joshua Romero?
I think he's a wonderful leader. He's a wonderful leader because he does everything the right way. And regardless of what it is that you ask from him, he's willing to do anything and everything. But he just doesn't stop at what's asked. He finds new ways to go beyond what is asked and think about alternate ways to get things accomplished for the football program. He loves his football program. He loves the sports program. He loves Brevard College, and he loves his town. I mean, he really, that's just the honest to God's truth. And, he's just a fantastic person to have as a teammate. So I just know that when he's out representing us, he speaks to everything that we're all about. And you may get into his the immersion program. I'm not sure if you're going to get into that or not.
Absolutely, yeah. Going to go to Anaheim, California this January.
And if you get into that, he had already talked to me prior to the season starting about what he could do next spring. So much how we have Bubba Craven coaching with us, and Axel Easter, and now Devon Edge, and Justin Peck. And, he wants to be a part of this as a former player wanting to coach. And, I mean, that's going to be a wonderful deal for him. And I'll let him speak to all the great things that's going to be for him. But really, really one of the great human beings on the team. Eliminate football from the rotation. Just a great human being.
Well, thanks for that affirmation, Coach, and we look forward to talking to those three student-athletes, Jacques Pledger, Lewis Williams III, and Joshua Romero. Coach, final thoughts as we head into North Carolina Wesleyan?
Well, I do want to thank Destiny Christian Fellowship. They spent a lot of time with us last week, provided some meals for us during the time of fall break when the CAF wasn't open. And they just had a lot of great team bonding exercises for us, brought in some guest speakers. They even spoke to us before the game going out to Huntington. And just for everything that they do for our program, I just wanted to say thank you to them.
Thank you for that, Coach, and tremendous that, we're not just building, athletes here, but really, men and women of character and doing it the right way. Thanks for that leadership, Coach, and thanks for coming on the program.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks so much, Phil.
Head Coach Bill Khayat talking Brevard College football, as I want to make sure we got plenty of room for these next two guests. Excited to talk to these two. See if we can slide you all back in here. Come on through, Big Lou. All right, Jock Pledger and Lewis Williams III. Get you all set there. Bring that nice and close to your mouth. There you go, Big Lou. All right, thanks for joining Tornado Talk, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the program. Well, Jock, we're going to start with you because the accolades were flying this afternoon. Defensive Rookie of the Week for the USA South Conference. Just a tremendous effort this past Saturday. 2 interceptions, the first 2 of your career.
Yes,
3 pass breakups. Just a big performance. And we talked to your coach a little bit about it. And, this was a kind of a new experience for you. You'd played it back in high school, but you had been working with the offense all season long up until this week when you were called into action. Can you kind of talk about how that went down from your perspective as far as coming in on the defensive side?
Well, all season long, Coach Jakes, the corners coach, he's been wanting me to play defense all season. And I was telling him, I was like, I like offense. I really like offense. He was like, okay, short decision. And then Quentin Jackson and Andreas Wyatt went down, and he talked with Coach Gallon one day before practice, and we were stretching. He came over there and said, Jock, you're playing corner this week. I was like, okay. And that's how it all went down.
And the rest is history. Big Lou, I mean, were you noticing what was happening with this guy all through the week, and then obviously, with the big game on Saturday?
Yeah, when he first got pulled over the defense, one of the coaches, Coach Fitz, he was just excited, just ear to ear sparring. And was it Tuesday or Thursday? One of the days he got a pick. Like, it was just, I was excited. I told him, I said, we're going to apply the pressure. We just need you to make the plays.
Well, congratulations, Jock, and congratulations to the whole team and especially the defense. A lot of times these individual awards are the product of, the whole team's play, and, while the accolades go to the individual and the stats are, one-sided, oftentimes it's the whole unit, that deserves recognition, and I'd like to just give that now to, the entire group on defense. Now, Jock, back to you here. You're from Monroe, Georgia,
Yes,
Walnut Grove High School. Can you talk a little bit about the process of how you found Brevard College?
Well, my roommate, we went to high school together. He was already had his mindset on coming to Brevard, and I was like, I want to play college ball, but I really don't have anywhere to look. And he introduced me to Coach Jakes in the spring, and Coach Jakes was like, yeah, I want you now. Like, sign now. I want you to come to Brevard. And I was like, and then him and Coach Fitz came to my school to talk to me and Tyson, walked around the school, talked for like 30 minutes. Like, no other coaches that were like recruited me have done that. So I was like, I like
that
this
extra
coaching
stuff.
stuff. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And in May, I signed my letter of intent to come to Brevard College.
Outstanding. And same question for you, Lou, out of Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, within the state, but still a different part of the state,
Yeah.
over outside of Charlotte, kind of NASCAR country over there near the Speedway and everything.
right there at the Speedway.
How'd you end up finding Brevard, or how did Brevard find you?
I had no intention to play college ball. My dad was like, do this when we go to a camp, and you go to this camp, and we'll see what happens. I went to the camp, and a whole bunch of colleges were coming after me. Brevard, it was Kurt Gavea, Big G. Big G and Little G, Jared Gavea, he was like, man, you're a stud. I want you to play ball. And I was like, all right, I'll play for you. And from there, it's history.
Very good. Jock, just like I asked Big Lou to kind of talk about you and your performance a little bit, I would like you to talk about
Big Lou's
this Big Lou, because you've seen him in action not only this past week versus Huntington when you're on the defensive side, but certainly in practice when you were on the offensive side and having to go up against Big Lou and company on that front seven. Can you talk about the gentleman on your left?
Big Lou told me earlier in the week when I moved to DB, he said, we're going to apply pressure, make plays. And then that's what happened. And then from practice, Big Lou, he beats everybody. So, like, going against him, when you're going up the middle, you might as well just bounce it outside. That's your best bet, because if not, Big Lou's going to tackle you.
I try to be there. I know I got a lot of people behind me, depending on me to hold up the line and make sure nobody gets through, or if they do get through, make sure they're going to the ways we want them to go, so people can make plays. So that's what I do.
And we've had some of the offensive linemen on the program, this past year and last season as well. How important are those guys as far as during the week and the battles that take place in those trenches for, you to prepare them and for them to prepare you for the game?
Oh, very much. Without the scout O-line, it's like you would have nobody to go against the test. Like, iron sharpens iron, so we need people that are going to test us so we'll be ready for the game on Saturday. It's very important. Like, the line is the first line of defense. It's first line of defense, first line of offense. You got to have your line.
Yeah, you agree? Oftentimes this is a game won in the trenches.
Every game.
Every game. Every game.
Yeah, it's a truism of football. There's no doubt about that. Now, back to business. NC Wesleyan coming up, in about 5 days or so. I know the coaches have been talking to you already this week, about where you got to be by the end of this week to get the W. Can you share some of that as far as what the team needs to do this week and through Saturday and heading over to Rocky Mount, North Carolina?
We try preparing and get better each and every day. And coaches, they don't make it easy on us.
No.
And it's hard. There's a lot of yelling. But at the end of the day, it always comes through. And we play good. And big boys, they're big boys.
Down in the trench mob, we grind it out every week with get-offs, just getting off the ball, just the simple things, you know what I mean? Football is a very simple game. It doesn't change no matter what level you're on. So as long as you have the fundamentals, it's going to come.
Yeah, but very nice. Now, you both talked a little bit about sort of the recruiting process. Now that, Jock, you've been here for, a few months, and Lou, you've been here, well over a year now.
Yeah.
Now that you've, settled in here at Brevard College a little bit, if you were to communicate perhaps back to some students at your old high school as to why this would be the place to come and play football, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, like, there's no other coaching staff like this. Like, this coaching staff is like, they push you, and they're going to make you get better each and every day, and they care about grades more important than anything about football. And they know that if you can't do anything in the classroom, then you can't do anything on the football field. And they try to like build a bond with you, build a relationship, and that's how it goes.
Actually, senior Brandon Crawford is supposed to be on the show in my spot, but he had class, so he couldn't come. It's just
Yeah, he's got his priorities
yeah,
right, huh?
yeah. You gotta have your priorities right. And, I would tell somebody coming here, I'm like, anybody can play. Just as you can see, anybody can play. If you're a baller, you're gonna play. So if you want to ball out, this is your opportunity. It's the opportunity is yours to take. The door is always open.
Now, this isn't the first road game of the year, but it is another road trip,
Yeah.
you know, and you're going to have to head to Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. It's a bit of a bus ride over there. Can you talk about the road mentality and sort of the business trip type approach that you guys try to take?
On the bus, on the way there, it's usually on a Friday. We watch movies, all laugh, get along, just connecting, bonding. And then when Friday night comes, when we get to the hotel, strictly business. Meetings, walkthroughs, and then you get tests on like if you know what you're doing your assignments. And then in the morning before that, you have meetings and walkthroughs to make sure that you know what you're doing when you get out there on the football field.
At the end of the day, it's exactly what it is. It's a business trip. So we come down there, we're ready to take care of business. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's fun to see the sights and be with your brothers, but we have a goal that we want to accomplish.
Yep. Well, it sounds like you guys are well on your way to getting ready for this weekend versus North Carolina Wesleyan. Before I let you go, always give this opportunity, especially to first-time guests, to say hello to anybody who might be tuning in or just anyone in general you might want to thank for helping you get to where you're at today. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
I would like to thank my mom. My mom is one of the strongest people I know, and I wouldn't be here today without her. She has 4 kids. She's a single mom. She raised all 4 kids by herself, and she's just a strong woman, and she made me who the person I am today.
Awesome.
I'd like to shout out my dad and all my coaches, Trench Bob, Crawl, all them. Got to. Everybody back home in Concord and even New Jersey, just everybody who had an impact on my life. I mean, if you talk to me, you had an impact. It's as little as that. But just like to thank everybody. Very
good. Well, we're going to talk to one more of your teammates here, Joshua Romero. Were you giving him any tips on what he should be saying on the show here?
He was giving me tips.
Yeah, he's smarter than both of us.
That's right, the senior.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thanks, fellas. Great job on Tornado Talk tonight. Good luck this weekend versus
Thank
NC
you for having
Wesleyan.
us.
All right. All right, that was Lou Williams and Jock Pledger. Jock Pledger winning that USA South Defensive Rookie of the Week award after just a bust-out performance. And Lou Williams, such a integral part of that defense up front. And great to talk to those two as we preview this weekend's matchup for the football team at NC Wesleyan. And joined now by 2 SAAC, and just to tell folks what SAAC stands for, Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Say that fast about 5 times in a row. Executive board members, Brittany Franks from the softball team. She's the president of SAAC, and vice president of SAAC, Joshua Romero from the football team. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's great to have the leadership of SAAC. Such an important part of most any athletic department is SAAC. It's the voice of the student athletes in many ways. But for folks in our audience who, might not have ever even heard the term SAAC, can each of you kind of explain a little bit what SAAC is?
Yeah, so SAAC, we're pretty much the liaison between the student athletes and the athletic department and their administration. So any issues or concerns, any questions we have, maybe needs on the teams, within the teams, we are kind of the voice between our team specifically and the athletic administration. So each team, each varsity sport has a couple representatives in SAAC that we meet monthly. We have service projects. So we really are the voice between the athletes and the administration of the athletic department, as well as trying to join the Brevard College community with the Brevard community of the town.
So yes, basically what she said, just to piggyback, SAAC is basically the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, a committee made up of student athletes that provide insights on student athlete experiences and also like it's a community of student athletes that are passionate about the sport, but also passionate off the field, what's going on around the community and stuff. And also SAAC offer inputs on rules and regulations and that affect student athlete lives.
Yeah, very nice. And I know this weekend there's a real big initiative that you guys have been planning. It's something that the Tornadoes have done in the past with a lot of success, and it's part of the USA South's Cans Across the Conference program. Can you guys tell folks even more what's going to be going on this weekend around Brevard?
Yeah, so we call it trick-or-treating for cans. So each sports team is given a street in Brevard. So we go knocking door to door, asking for cans to donate, which the college will collect and donate to a local food bank or shelter, things like that. So yeah, each team goes out. You can dress up in Halloween costumes, make it fun. It's a good team bonding experience, but we're also collecting for the community.
Yeah, just exactly what she said. I know last year as a football team, we go at a certain time, like all the sports. And this year is the last Sunday, which is coming up, trick-or-treating. And our goal this year is to at least get 2,000. Last year we got like 1,800, something like that. So our goal is to get 2,000, and I think we got it this year.
Yeah, so folks, if you're in the Brevard, North Carolina area, and especially if you're a business owner, and might have a restaurant or a shop or what have you, but also homes, I would imagine, as well. Sunday, October 27th, this Sunday, between 2 and 5 p.m. And if some trick-or-treaters around like the college age group show up, especially maybe with some Brevard Tornado gear on as well, and are knocking on your door and saying trick-or-treat, please provide them with cans of food that's going to go to some great cause to those who are needy. It's a really unique program, and just hats off to you all to organizing it. I know it's a big thing to organize too. I mean, there's a bunch of different directions you could go from campus, and you can't all be hitting up the same storefronts, right?
Right, absolutely. And we are going door to door, asking for cans and trick-or-treating, so to say. But we are also taking any donations. So from any local stores or anything like that, feel free to come by the athletic administration offices and donate cans there as well.
Josh, I would like to stick with you for a moment because you've also, and Coach mentioned this, have been selected for the NCAA Division III Student Immersion Program, along, Brittany, with one of your teammates, Diana Loaiza. And you and Diana will be going to the NCAA convention in January 22nd through 25th in Anaheim, California. Congratulations on that, and also to your teammate Diana, both of you, for that. Being invited to that program. What have you learned so far as what you're going to be experiencing there in Anaheim, California?
First of all, I just want to thank God. It's a blessing to be, because only 40 people in the country get to go. So basically, you get nominated by the coaches and the athletic staff and stuff, and you got to apply. And then I got chosen last week, so I just want to thank God for that. But as I know, it's just a convention for NCAA D3 in California for like future coaches, and I'm gonna be around like a whole bunch of presidents for different colleges and coaches and athletic directors. So I'm just hoping to learn and meet new people, and that's gonna help me in my future being a coach.
Very good. And Brittany, have you thought as far as what career you may want to head into? And I'm sure this experience, from a leadership position here at SAAC as president of SAAC this season is going to help you prepare for whatever you go into, but have you thought about that for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a dentist. I want to go into the dental field. So after my undergraduate years at Brevard College, I'm hoping to pursue dentistry school.
Very good. Now, would like to talk a little bit about each of your respective sports as well, and we'll stick with you, Brittany, member of the softball team, playing mostly in the outfield, but, certainly a big part of that Tornado team. And you guys played a few exhibition games this fall. How did fall practice go for you all?
Yeah, fall practice was great. Currently, we have an interim coach. We're taking some applications, trying to find a new head coach. So he did a really good job. I think the team grew in this time of change, but I think we really improved on ourselves with our incoming freshmen and things like that. We did play Mars Hill in an exhibition scrimmage. We played about 9 or 10, kind of unofficial innings, and learned a lot. Know what we need to work on going forward, especially as a team. And now we're just kind of hoping that we can grab a good coach, maybe keep the interim coach that we have. We loved him, and he did a lot of great things for our team. So we're hoping just to find the right match, whether it be him or someone else.
Well, while Brittany and the softball team are in their relative off season, you're in the thick of it, Josh. With the football team just in the home stretch of the season, but several games still to be played, including a road game this weekend at NC Wesleyan. Can you talk about where you guys are at in terms of the season?
Right now, we started off strong, as everybody knows, 3-0. But the last 2 weeks, we took 2 tough losses. So, like today, practice was just great, like the best Monday we ever had. So we hope to continue that energy throughout the practice and just come out strong this week, because we definitely need a win.
Very good. Well, I do want to conclude tonight's interview and tonight's show with just kind of back to where we started, and the biggest reason why you all are on tonight, not just to tell folks what SAAC is and to teach them about that, and not to talk about sports necessarily, but to talk about how important it is to give back to the community in this weekend, this big program, Cans Across the Conference, trick-or-treating for cans, 2 to 5 o'clock in the Brevard area. The Tornadoes will be out really, ultimately helping those in need. Can each of you talk about just how important that is? I know both of you have done a lot of community service, both individually and with your teams, but how important that is as student athletes to engage in community service.
Yeah, for me especially, it's just building those relationships. For me, friendships are huge. My family's very close. I have very close friends, and just the more people you meet, the closer you get to people, the more relationships you build. And while helping people out, it's just kind of a bonus. So in growing up, I remember a lot of the community older athletes coming back to host camps or, getting involved with younger athletes. So it's really just been a big part of my life, and hopefully that I can give the same influence onto people in the community like they did to me.
Yeah, exactly what she said. Me personally, I just got a great heart. I just love always helping people off the field, on the field. And community service is definitely huge for me. Just getting out there and just helping people out with teammates, by myself, it don't matter. So this week, trick-or-treating for Cans Across the Conference is definitely big for us. And we just hope to be successful and just collect a whole bunch of cans so we could donate them.
Yep, and nice friendly competition between all the USA South schools to see who can get the most cans. I mean, those are the kind of competitions you got to just love, because ultimately just helping those who are in need. Well, I want to thank you both for your leadership with SAAC. It's really commendable. There's more going on behind the scenes than a lot of people realize at an athletic department, and with the student-athlete experience, and you guys are right in the middle of all that. Brittany, congratulations on being the president of SAAC. Josh, the vice president, and best of luck through the rest of the season. Josh, congrats on being named to that NCAA Division III student immersion program and that trip to the NCAA convention. I know that's going to be exciting, along with Diana Louise of softball. Any final thoughts before I let you go? Any message you want to pass on to your fellow student athletes as you get them ready for Sunday?
I just want to shout out my dad. He's watching right now. If it wasn't for him, I would be the person I am today. So I just want to thank God for him and my family, honestly.
Yeah, and for the trick-or-treating for cans, it's also a competition between the sports teams. So best of luck.
Excellent point. That's right. So football better be ready. It sounds like softball is ready to perform on Sunday. Well, thanks again for your leadership. We look forward to seeing those final results too. I know that the staff is going to be busy tallying up the numbers, late into the evening on Sunday as well. So we look forward to all the numbers. And, thanks again for your leadership with SAAC. It's really an important part of any athletic department. And good luck this weekend at NC Wesleyan. Good luck as we head towards the softball season. It'll be here before we know it. And thanks again for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Joshua Romero and Brittany Franks. Brittany's the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Joshua, the vice president, and they are preparing this weekend for the big Cans Across the Conference trick-or-treat for cans here in Brevard, North Carolina. Well, want to thank all of our guests tonight. Head men's soccer coach Dana. We had Joao Monteiro and Matheus Masukawa, men's soccer student athletes. Women's soccer student athletes Brianna Link and Alyssa Hetherington. Head football coach Bill Khayat, and football student athletes Jock Pledger and Big Lou Williams. And we concluded the show talking to the SAAC Executive Board members, Brittany Franks and Joshua Romero. Also want to thank SAAC advisor Molly Penland for helping set all that up, the big community service program going on this Sunday. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Jets Pizza, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium Pepsi, and the home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Hope to see you at a Brevard College athletic event this weekend. Actually, all week long, there's all sorts of activity. Tuesday, October 22nd, 4 o'clock men's soccer, 7 o'clock women's soccer. That's a men's-women's doubleheader at Ives Lamel Family Field. Thursday, October 24th, the reserve men's soccer team will be playing versus Belmont Abbey at Ives Lamel Family Field. And also the Harvest Fest is going on at Brevard College. We will be congratulating the mountain biking team that went to the national championships. Friday, October 25th, 7 p.m., women's soccer versus Bob Jones. That's senior night at Ives Lamel Family Field. Saturday, October 26th, volleyball, 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., part of a quad match, and then men's soccer, senior day versus Berea at 2 p.m. at Ives Lamel Family Field. And then Sunday, October 27th, men's soccer versus Huntington as well at the home field of the Tornadoes. Be sure to follow Brevard College Athletics on Twitter and Instagram at BC Tornadoes. Subscribe to Brevard College Tornadoes on YouTube. Follow Brevard College Tornadoes on SoundCloud. And be sure to like Brevard College Athletics on Facebook. And there's also the Flickr page. Be sure to follow Brevard College, where you can find all sorts of photo albums from Brevard College events. Want to thank those behind the scenes, Joseph Marvin and Madi Rodriguez. And thank you for joining tonight's program, another edition of Tornado Talk. We'll see you next week right here at Dugan's Pub. Go Tornadoes.